What is up, guys? My name is Jake. Welcome back to Abandoned episode 12. Before we start the video, I just want to say, for some of you that may know, I went on a Disney vacation recently, and my last day there, I got to meet up with some people who watch our videos, and I just want to give a shout out to Kira and Sydney. They honestly, truly made my last day at Disney extremely amazing. We got to ride a bunch of rides. I did Space Mountain for the first time. We walked around the wet and sad and cold Magic Kingdom, and it was a blast. It was honestly truly fun, and I just want to give a shout out to them because they truly did make my last day great. And always shout out to these great people on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, because we don't usually give the YouTube love that much, but I think we should this time. So today we are going to be talking about an extremely requested topic, and that is the Disneyland Peoplemover. Yay! Hey, cheering. So let's talk about the strange abandoned tracks in the middle of Disneyland's Tomorrowland, the Peoplemover. So when the park first opened, Tomorrowland was quite bare. So when it began to fade from being futuristic, it was time to create some new attractions. With the 60s approaching, Walt Disney took a special interest in Tomorrowland. However, his attention went to the projects Disney had been developing for the 1964 and 1965 New York World's Fair. While developing innovative rides, the idea for Epcot became a reality for him. Walt Disney then became devoted to his new idea for the Florida project. Epcot was designed to incorporate all new types of transportation Walt Disney had. One of these being a concept that legendary Imagineer Bob Gurr drew up called the Peoplemover. With this new idea in hand, Disney wanted to test the new ride system in Tomorrowland. The new renovation would completely change all of Tomorrowland into something quite impressive. However, Walt never got to see the final product of the new Tomorrowland. The new revamped Tomorrowland, along with the Peoplemover, opened on July 2nd, 1967, just 7 months after Walt's death. The new Tomorrowland was a refreshing take on the future, and a damn nice looking one actually. In the center sat a 3-story structure housing the Peoplemover station and the rocket jets on top. Peoplemover itself was created in an interesting way. The track was made up of rotating tires to push the train along. The idea came from the Ford Pavilion actually in the New York World's Fair. The new Highway in the Sky was a hit with guests and showed Disney was truly looking toward the future. The Peoplemover would wind and twist around Tomorrowland, going through buildings and attractions, almost all of them actually. The Peoplemover was also stupidly efficient. In an hour it could run about 4,885 people, which is crazy efficient even compared to modern day rides. So the fact was, this was a good ride and people really liked it. So in 1975, the Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World in Florida opened its own Peoplemover system called the Wedway Peoplemover. This track was quite different than Disneyland's. This one used magnets to move the train rather than powered tires, which is actually really innovative. Anyway, coming up on the late 70s, the track in Disneyland was expanded to now run through the new attraction Space Mountain. The ride lasted around 16 minutes in total. So why did this iconic ride close? Well, coming up in the late 90s, Disney was starting to realize Tomorrowland was becoming a little severely outdated. And I guess that's the flaw of making a land devoted to the future. It always has to change. So in 1992, Euro Disneyland, now Disneyland Paris, opened. The park didn't have a Tomorrowland. It had something called Discoveryland, with its own variation of Space Mountain. They did this not because it was easier to create, but they future-proofed the land. What I mean is, they did the theming after an 1800s look at the future, which is kind of boring, but kind of also really clever. This was a great idea to fix the American park's problems. So in 1995, the Magic Kingdom in Florida got a Tomorrowland revamp, which was themed similar to Euro Disneyland. However, Disneyland in California was set for a bit of a different renovation. The section of the park was to be completely revamped into a new renovation called Tomorrowland 2055. This was looking really damn good, and as it was actually quite inventive. But then Euro Disneyland tanked, and it tanked bad. The company took a hard hit, and the new Tomorrowland project was killed off. But the problem was that half of Tomorrowland was basically closed, so it needed a renovation and it needed it badly. So Disney came up with a renovation that would do the job quick and cheap. This idea came from the Magic Kingdom in Florida. This new renovation was basically set to wipe out all of Walt Disney's influences in Tomorrowland. Also, it was set to wipe out something else, the Peoplemover. In 1995, the Peoplemover closed. To put it lightly, this was an idiotic decision made by the company. Well, I mean, as I tell you the rest of the story, you'll understand why. Now, after covering Tomorrowland in silver and gold. Silver and gold. Actually, it was copper, I just wanted to use that clip. Anyway, during the renovation, the rocket jets were removed and replaced by the Astro Orbiter, a clone of the one in Disneyland Paris, and literally just a rethemed Dumbo ride. So what could possibly replace such an iconic ride? Well, the answer came on May 22nd, 1998. The rocket rods. I guess some can say that the Peoplemover didn't fit the new theme of Tomorrowland, even though Disney World's did, but the replacement ride was a bit laughable. So in regular Disney style, they took something iconic and amazing and turned it into a thrill ride. Yep. So the Rocket Rods was a high-speed thrill ride using the original tracks of the Peoplemover. It moved so quickly because they were using an early version of the test track ride system. Even though the ride didn't live up to the Peoplemover, it was actually still fun.
One of the best Disney rides ever. Yeah.
I'm Mitt Romney, and I approve this message.
There was one problem though. It didn't work. The infrastructure already set in place wasn't designed for such a high-speed ride. These were fairly heavy ride vehicles moving at speeds at around 35 miles an hour. This put a lot of strain on the track structures, which is a big no-no. That was only one problem. Another was that the ride was extremely unreliable. The attraction would break down at least once a day, which is never good. After its opening in 1998, the attraction closed in September of 2000 to go under a renovation. However, this renovation apparently turned out to be permanent after the Los Angeles Times reported that the ride would be closed forever. This is considered to be one of the biggest failures in recent theme park history. See, this is what happens when Imagineers try to take a classic ride and turn it into something else. They break the ride within 2 years and no one can play with it. Anyways, since then, the ride tracks have been left there deteriorating and completely abandoned. It's actually pretty iconic because when you walk into Tomorrowland, and you see these gigantic, well, I guess not gigantic, but these structures all the way around Tomorrowland, you're like, what is that? It looks like any hope of the Peoplemover is gone, as the tracks are now broken beyond repair and likely will never be used again after different laws and all that stuff came out prohibiting things to be on it. So what's gonna happen? Well, it's been a while since 2000, and the tracks have been famously abandoned right in the middle of Tomorrowland for quite a while. It's likely that the next time Tomorrowland goes into a renovation, the tracks and the main loading area will be removed and hopefully put back in place with something. Maybe an updated version of the Peoplemover, but we can only dream. Anyway guys, that's it for me. My name is Jake. Thank you very, very much for watching. I honestly do appreciate it. Guys, if you take the time, if you want to follow us on anything, go follow us on Twitter or Instagram. We're always posting stuff. We're interacting with you guys. We answer your questions, blah, blah, blah. So you should follow us. That's it for me. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and goodbye. That took me 25 minutes to record that whole thing. Wow!